Chancellor Carmesita Padilla, D. Leonardo Estacio, Department of Arts and Communications Chair Professor Alice Adeva, to my former professors who have a profound influence on my current work and advocacy for Philippine art and biodiversity. Nandito po sila lahat. Nandito po si Dr. Grace Udal, Professor Bing Bonilla, and of course, Dr. Levi Achansar Labor. To the members of the Faura Project, to the Philippine Botanical Art Society community, and my co-founders, Dr. Edwin Tadiosa and Mr. John Ray Caliado, guests, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. I am Bing Famoso, an advocate of Philippine endemic flora and fauna, and founder of the two art societies, the Philippine Botanical Art Society and the Philippine Fauna Art Society. I am a proud alumni of the BA Philippine Arts program under the Arts Management track. I would like to thank my former professor, Dr. Levi, and the Faura Project for inviting me and the Philippine Botanical Art Society to be part of the third Flores de Mayo sa Calle Faura Festival. I would like to share with you my art journey and how I started my advocacy of Philippine endemic flora and fauna. It started in 2016 when I read from a Facebook post about the cherry blossom tree planting in Benguet province, where 100 trees were planted, but only a handful survived. There was also a plan for a cherry blossom festival to attract local tourists to spend their money here rather than go to Japan and Korea. Why create a festival for an exotic flower when in fact we don't have our very own flower first festival in the first place? Sure, we have the Panagbenga, which is one of my favorite festivals, but it only displays cut flowers, which are mostly exotic as well. What I am referring to is a flower festival where we can appreciate the flowers while it is still attached to the plant or to the tree, alive and still breathing. A flower festival where we can see our own native flora. The Facebook post fueled my interest to research about our native flora species and also an awakening of sort. The flowers that I was familiar with, like santan, bougainvillea, calachuchi, camia, dahlia, are actually exotic or introduced flowers. Perhaps we remember that class sections in grade schools and high schools were named after these flowers. We would not think that they are not native to our country. After I graduated from the UP Manila Philippine Arts program, I got married, focused on my family, and never experienced working. I started late in my art career. I was already 42 years old when I decided to join my very first group art exhibit. Even without a formal training in the arts, and basically a newbie in the art community, and even if I was still struggling how to start a painting and how to finish it, I held my first solo show, Bulak. Bulak is a Hiligaynon word for flower. Unaware yet about the meanings of endemic, indigenous, exotic, and native, I included some flowers which are exotic to our country, like the gumamela and the sampaguita in the exhibit. It is hard to imagine that our very own national flower is not even from our country, but originated from the Himalayas. It was first cultivated in the Philippines in the 17th century when it was brought here by travelers. It was in 1934 that it was proclaimed as the national flower by an American governor through Proclamation number 652. Perhaps the Americans thought it was native to here in our country since sampaguita was deeply rooted in our culture. We have so many beautiful endemic flowers like the waling-waling, which deserves to be hailed as our national flower. In 2004, there was a motion in the House of Representatives to make the waling-waling as a national flower. In August 2013, a bill was passed by the Senate to make it as our national flower alongside sampaguita. Unfortunately, President Noynoy Aquino vetoed House Bill 565, saying that there are other ways to promote the protection and preservation of the waling-waling without declaring it as a second national flower. In 2019, Waling Waling was declared as the national orchid. As I further researched for endemic species and while preparing for my second solo show in May 2018, I came across an article about the Flora de Filipinas by historian Ambeth Ocampo. Flora de Filipinas is the first comprehensive and fully illustrated study of the Philippine flora published 2 centuries ago by Father Francisco Manuel Blanco, a Spanish friar and a botanist. This book is very important in Philippine art history because it contains botanical plates drawn by 17 Filipino artists commissioned by Father Blanco, which includes Felix Resurrección Hidalgo, Felix Martinez, Felix Pardo de Tavera, Miguel Zaragoza, and Lorenzo Guerrero. Surprisingly, according to Ambeth Ocampo, they were never mentioned in that book, Flora de Filipinas. Researching further on Philippine botanical led me to the website Botanical Art Worldwide. That year, there was a World Botanical Expo with 25 participating countries. I was excited to see our country on the list, hoping that it will connect me to botanical artists in our country. But sadly, the Philippines wasn't on the list. When I found out that there is no Botanical Art Society in our country, I decided to put up one. Fortunately, arts management was my track in Philippine arts. And even after 3 decades passed since I graduated from the university, the education, training, and values strongly instilled in me the love and respect to protect, uphold, and conserve our cultural and natural heritage. Establishing the Philippine Botanical Art Society gave me the opportunity to contribute to our national identity through our native flora. The creation of the Philippine Botanical Art Society was a very exciting journey, which started with a visit to the Botany Division of the National Museum of Natural History in May 2018, where I met 3 of our country's foremost botanists, Dr. Edwin Padiosa, Dr. Danny Tandang, and Mr. John Ray Caliado. They were very receptive when I first brought up my intention of organizing a Botanical Art Society in the Philippines, a Botanical Art Society that will support the advocacy in creating awareness about our Philippine native flora. They showed encouragement and support, noting that our country, being a mega diverse country, should have its own Botanical Art Society. On September 4, 2019, exactly a year and 4 months after I first visited the Botany and National Herbarium Division of the National Museum of Natural History, Philippine Botanical Art Society was born. PhilBAS, Philippine Botanical Art Society, or PhilBAS, hopes that through botanical art, it would educate our fellow Filipinos about our native flora and its conservation status, as most species are now considered endangered. Moreover, the Society intends to revive the botanical art style and encourage Filipino artists to paint our native flora in this art form. Presently, PhilBAS engages more than 100 Filipino artists, a community, in its advocacy to spread awareness about Philippine endemic and indigenous flora species through art. Since its establishment in 2019, PhilBAS has held 4 botanical art exhibitions and exhibited more than 100 botanical artworks. The Faura Project's yearly Flores de Mayo is a befitting platform to showcase our native flora. The Santa's elaborate processions and flower-adorned floats is an enduring Filipino tradition since 1854. Exotic flowers such as roses and camellia typically dominate the event's decorations. With this Flores de Mayo exhibit, the Philippine Botanical Art Society hopes to bring attention to our native flora. More ambitiously, with every Flores de Mayo exhibit we hold each year, The Society and the Faura Project aspire for more Filipinos to associate Flores de Mayo with abundance of Philippine native flora. Isn't it amazing how a small country such as ours is one of the 17 mega diverse countries in the whole world? To be counted as a mega diverse country, 50% of the country's species should be endemic. We have more than 10,000 native flora species, and more are yet to be discovered. Out of this 10,000 species, 50% is endemic. Sadly, though, more and more species are threatened because of habitat loss due to natural causes and human activity like poaching, illegal logging, converting forests to commercial areas, and etc. But hope is not lost. Let us do our part to help conserve and protect our rich wildlife. On behalf of Phil Bass and my fellow participating artists, John Ray Caliado, Becky Chung Santos, Larry Dianco, Mio Diaz, Isa Domingo, Anna Garcia, Patrick Gozon, Gigi Manalastas, Cherry May Pistaño, Carla Sahona, and Mr. Jose Valerio. I would like to thank as well the Faura Project team, Dr. Levi Ajanzar, Professor Bing Bodilla, Attorney Mara Estrella, Charis del Castillo, Elijah del Rosario, and Leanda Garcia, and especially to my daughter, Willa Nicole, for helping me with my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention and for this opportunity to share with you my advocacy of Philippine endemic and indigenous flora through art. To end my talk, I will be sharing a video coverage of the first Flores de Mayo sa Calle Faura Festival held in May 2018, which inspired me to finally organize the Philippine Botanical Art Society. Muli po, maraming salamat sa inyo para sa kalikasan.
This month, we celebrate one of the beauties. Pauline Versosa tells us about one celebration for Flores de Mayo.
To celebrate the merry month of flowers, students of UP Manila launched a special activity and
ma-feature yung mismong flowers ng Philippines para mas ma-appreciate ng mga tao yung mismong flowers natin, mas makapag-raise ng awareness.
Students paraded along Padre Faura Street in Manila on Thursday morning wearing sashes hand-painted with the Philippine endemic flowers such as the Doña Aurora, Waling Waling, and Kapa Kapa. The parade ended with a special exhibit entitled Pagsibol at the Museum of History of Ideas. Artist and endemic flora advocate Bing Pomoso shares that her inspiration is rooted on her desire to shed light on the neglected culture.
I specifically planned to paint them so that to create awareness also how to conserve and preserve them. Because it's really hard if these flowers die. No, it's part of our natural heritage and our cultural heritage. And it speaks about us as Filipinos. So it's about high time to show the world what is truly Filipino through our endemic flora.
Project Faura doesn't just aim to shed light on the country's unique flowers. It also seeks to make Padre Faura Street a center of heritage and art in the city. Project convener and Professor Dr. Levi Labor says this was a great learning experience for her and her students, and hopes the Filipino community will study more about the Philippines' endemic flora, especially during Flores de Mayo.
We'll be here until Saturday, no? So it's kind of extended. So the week is kind of extended till Saturday, and we were informed that there will also be another workshop which will be open to the public this time. So you are all invited to also join the exhibit.
Pauline Verzosa, CNN Philippines.
Thank you so much, Ms. Famoso, for sharing more about Phil Bass with us. As a Philippine art student myself, also thinking about taking the arts management track, hearing about your life post-Phil Arts is making me so excited for the future.